might be getting too Buddhist for me, but I want to examine it because that's what this show's about expanding how I think about things.
Mhm.
So let's say I'm trying to take something drastic. Let's say you have a best friend that suddenly dies in a car accident or is murdered or something like something really extreme. How do you track how you feel about this awful, tragic, unexpected event to being something in the past? Like, isn't it possible that we just need to feel the sadness from this person that we love that is no longer there? Why do you think it's still coded to something in our past?
Well, it's a condition. So, yeah, this is a really deep. People might not like this answer or agree with me, and that's okay. We, from the very beginning of our lives, we develop separation for ourselves and others. We forget who we really are as a soul. And so, when we lose things like our stuffed animal when we're young, or we, lose things we're attached to, like we lose a friend, that builds a conditioning, a trauma conditioning in us that we need external things or people to feel happy, right? So now we start seeking relationships, people, friends, things outside of us to make us happy, to keep us happy. And that's an illusion because happiness doesn't come from other people. Happiness is an internal spring. There's an internal spring of energy inside of you that causes the feeling of happiness. So by seeking things to make you happy, you're incomplete. I'm seeking these things. It's an illusion. And so when I lose a friend, of course, as a human being, that's a horrific thing, like a car accident. And I'm not saying like don't be sad. I'm not saying any of that. But it's based on the conditioning that I need people and things in my life for me to be happy. Because it's a resistance of reality. We we fight for the things we want, and when we don't get them or the things we want, then we are completely blown open and disrupted. And so if we can let go of all these attachments, and yeah, this is Buddhist in a way,
Or
of course we'll still feel
stoicism? It
suffering.
sounds like
What's that?
the stoicism ideals.
Sure. I mean, it's releasing all of the preferences we have, attachments we have, so that we are okay on the inside. Because there's a well of happiness, of energy flowing inside of us at all times, but it's blocked. And so the more attachments and things we can release, the more we can feel happy. We would have a completely different perspective. Like two people can have a completely different perspective of a friend dying in a car crash. They'll both be devastated initially. I mean, that's a human thing. But over very immediately, one person can appreciate, not mentally, but internally, what that friend did for them and the lessons they're gaining from this and the evolution they're gaining from this moment. And the other person can spiral downward because they need that person in their life to feel happy when that's not true.
That's great. I really love because I really love that explanation because there was an equal amount of things I loved and disagreed with, like coming after one another, which I love these chats because I thought I was going to disagree with your last part about how two people would react so differently, but in the end, I completely see your perspective on that. Whereas because you're so attached that you need that person in your life, that part I completely agree with. I think where I take more umbrage with is that maybe some things I've been reading and learning about recently is that like they've even found neurons in the brain that is associated with loneliness. That is like a trigger kind of like hunger as we're social beings that we need to go out and find our tribe or find people. And so there is a kind of an evolutionary um, how do you say basis for these ideas, and even that like the more friends that we have, the bigger our brain grows, the more happy we are. And so I think the illusion is to thinking that, and it's a really like narrow idea of this masculine lone wolf thing, that we're okay on our own, that we have our, that we don't need so many friends, we have our little tribe, let's say a family or two people, and we're okay. I think that's the lie that I think that's the lie we're told and that we tell ourselves sometimes to to keep the fear at bay that maybe we don't feel safe meeting other people. Maybe we don't feel safe because we've been betrayed by friends in the past, and things like that. And we're getting a little bit off topic, but my concept is that I think we do need people, and I think it's I do think the illusion is to believe that we can exist only on our own, and that we can. And it's not that we can't spring the idea of happiness and gratitude on our own, but I think it's through loving other people and finding other people who can love and respect us, where like real contentment stays in. And so I'm going to really examine the idea of like these new feelings that come up, how th- they're still going to be tracked to my past. Um, that's going to take a while
Well,
to
here's a
unpack.
perspective, right? Because everyone, we try to seek other people for our happiness, right? But the perspective we need, the truth is, other people, close people, any relationship, the role that other people have in your life is to be a mirror where they can mirror back these blockages. They can mirror back. So if you're triggered by someone close to you, or they make you angry or resentful, whatever, that is pointing. If I see someone and they make me angry, it is showing me, reflecting back, that I am holding on to something of a similar quality. So that trigger is showing me there people are mirrors. And that's really the role, is we shouldn't seek people for our happiness, because that's an illusion that will never happen, ever,
Right.
ever. It People are to show you of what's trapped inside of you, how you can expand, even the closest relationships. That's the role of other people in our lives, for us to expand by facing the mirror, by looking in the mirror. So many people don't want to look in the mirror of the truth.
Right.
Other people are mirrors to you, pointing out all the stuff we have trapped inside of us.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad you make that a bit of delineation between that other people aren't happiness, because I would agree with that. I think where I would draw the line is, say, other people I think are a way to, maybe that's what you meant inherently about to expand, but I would say other people are a way for us to expand and have more love in our lives. I think some people think that it's only available through family and children, etc. And I would just argue it's also available through friends or extended family, or like I think love is everywhere if we look for it. But I think a lot of us, unfortunately, there's this idea out there that we're better off alone sometimes, or we're better off in our own little castles. And I love this idea of, even like, the more we can process these things we're seeing either in mirrors or in how we're actually feeling, then we can identify for ourselves kind of the path forward.